Hello everybody, it's Mike again. Welcome back to the channel. So you guys saw the last video that I put up about the coupe getting past MOT. So now I'm just going to try to sort out some of those little problems. Well, pretty much one major problem that I had, which is the clunking in the rear end. And I took a poke around and I really didn't see anything. The only thing that I've kind of figured out is, I was thinking before, maybe the C-clips. So I jacked it up. That's why the garage door cracked open, because the garage is too small to have the handle sticking up, so I got it sticking out underneath the garage. But if I take the wheel, it slides in and out a little bit, and the other side isn't as bad. But I mean, it's not far, but it's annoying. Which means the diff cover's got to come back off, and I got to poke around in there and see what's going on. So I'm thinking, I mean, they didn't do this before with the factory axles, so I'm thinking, I mean, here's the axles that came out. I just have them sprayed with white grease. I'm thinking that the gap in between where the C-clips go is shorter on the stock axles, and the Moser ones are opened up a little bit more. And I'm not even putting it in the right spot. So yeah, so the C-clip goes, I think the stock axle groove for the C-clips is just tighter. So I may have to, I don't think they have any fatter C-clips. Yeah, I got some, but I may have to just pack the clutches a little bit wider, stick some feeler gauges in there on each side, and see how much further I gotta go. I got a ton of shims. But just annoying. I gotta drop the rear diff cover. It's all looking pretty under there, and drain the oil back out, and may have to get some more of that gear oil to put back in it, because every time you open it up you lose a little bit. That's the well, it's recycled, but it only had a few hundred miles on it from before, so I didn't feel bad about putting it back in the first time, but I'm just gonna lose a little bit more again, and so I'll just need to buy another jug of it, which is like 30 darn bucks over here for 1 quart of that stuff. So I gotta do what I gotta do. But anyway, it's easy to put it in with the cover on. So I'm gonna get that started here this weekend, at least drop the axle cover, jack it up, put it on Jack's hands, and see what's going on in there. So if nothing else, it'll be one thing to rule out, but I don't know. I gotta fix it and take it for a drive, and hopefully the noise goes away, but we'll see. And the other thing I got going on is I'm really anti anything extraneous gauges. I like a clean cockpit. I don't like the big monster tacks. I don't like 8-pillar gauges. Well, you can see it's all looking stock. I took the vents out, as you'll see in a minute what I'm going to be doing. I just wanted it to look clean and original. But at the end of the day, the little boy racer in me needs to know what's going on with the car, with a turbocharged car especially. And so I got this that I want to be putting in it. And the thing that I think is going to be best is I went and ordered this off of a guy on Etsy, so I can take this and stick it in here. But I gotta modify this a little bit. I don't like the contours and things like that. It doesn't quite match the original thinner veins of the vent. So before I paint it to match, I'm gonna sit there and try to sand or with a Dremel or something and profile these a little bit nicer. Get rid of the 3D printing lines, and try to blend it and try to make it look more like this before I stick it in the car. So, but it's kind of like what I want, is this, the subtlest thing as possible, just to put a gauge in the car for boost, because it's a diagnostic thing for one. It's for as much as you spend on a turbo kit, you know, I kind of wanted to just have it all working in the background, and I'd look at the Terminator X screen if I wanted to see what the boost is, but at some point you just got to know what's going on. So, but I think this will do what I want it to do. I want to get this in there. Yeah, So this is just a Saturday update. It's cold, mid-40s. There's a gas shortage in the UK right again now, so my wife was having so supposedly gonna have some family come down, but nobody can get any diesel. So here we are by ourselves again, so at least I don't gotta entertain anybody else. So yeah, I'm just gonna get on in the garage, and I'll bring you along if I find anything interesting, and I'll catch up with you at the end and show you what I did. Hello guys, it's back together. I filmed this a little earlier while it was in the air, but obviously I didn't film it. I took a picture, so I want to review the footage. So it's already on the ground, jack stands are already moved, but yeah, I had it up. No clunking anymore when I pushed the wheel in and out. So you saw me when I had the differential area apart. I got some feeler gauges and I shoved the feeler gauges in between the axle shaft and the pin, and I checked, wrote down the clearance, went to my box of shims I got for when you set up or rebuild the differentials, the traction locks. Had extra shims lying around, and they only had shims in 5/1000ths increments, so I needed a 20/1000ths trim on this side and a 16/1000th on the other, so I just did a 20 and a 15 on the other side. And yeah, they're both nice and quiet. No more play. You can still drop the cross pin in. You saw me do that. I just tapped it in very lightly with a hammer, and yeah, just not like I crammed it in there. Sometimes I've seen people do that. So just to get all the clutch action that you could possibly get out of it. And showed you how to get the S-clip back in there without too much drama using 2 pairs of vice grips. And it went surprisingly well. But yeah, it's back together. I want to take it for a road trip. Or a road test here. I don't know if I'll even get out maybe tomorrow if the weather's nice, but yeah, if the noise is still there, well, it's not the diff, so I'll have to figure out something else. But alright, and on to the next project. Alright, this is just something a little unrelated, but something I've been getting into. Been having problems with my tachometer being intermittent after I installed the Holley Terminator. So what I figured out, I had to put a mirror up on the steering wheel so I can get in here, and I knew the problem was down in here, and I was wiggling wires and wiggling wires, and I tried to make this all nice and so it looked kind of factory. And when I was wiggling the wires, I can get the tach to start, starting and stopping when I was wiggling the wires. So I pulled the pins out of this connector, and for whatever reason, I don't know if these were compatible or not, because this socket here and this pin are really loose. I mean, they barely even touch. So what was happening was it was just making odd contact. So I have to try to find another connector somewhere to get some pins out or do something. Maybe a fatter pin. Replace that, because this is still factory. I haven't touched this, but I fiddled with this somehow. But I guess evidently some pins are bigger than others. There's some receptacles, some female ends, so I'm gonna have to crimp down on this or figure something out. But at least I figured it out. I'm happy about that. Alright, I think I know what I did here. This wire that I used to tie in, I wanted to keep it the same color as the tachometer wire going into the car harness. So the green with yellow stripe is what I chose. But this wire and pin I pulled out of an old speed density harness, and this goes to the computer, the EC4. So these pins are different than these pins. The males is for the female, so there's way too much play in there. So I had an old speed density oxygen sensor harness that I'm never going to use. There's no real use to anybody since it's speed density. So I got the pin out of there. You can even tell it's different. And it fits nice and tight. I gotta really pull that apart. But I mean, it's it's crazy that they're both the same kind of style. Both got the inside section right here that latches into the connector. So I doubt anybody's ever gonna need to worry about that. But live and learn, I guess. Find something new. But all I know is this wire here is the power wire going to the harness. This is where I got switched power going to the Terminator X. Tap from here, and that works just fine. Because when you unplug this thing, the car stalls. Because I checked that one, and that pin is that's nice and tight. So yeah, it's nice and tight. So it's just this one that I used. But all right, it's gonna get fixed. All right, I'll button back up, and let's give it a try. Alright, so there we go. Let me close this door. There we go. Alright, and one thing you guys, I alluded to earlier, but there's a boost gauge. So yeah, I couldn't not know, especially once you start getting the boost, in case there's any issues. I'm not gonna be sitting there staring at a laptop or a little LCD screen. Not gonna get any boost until we get out and drive it. Anyway, that's how much vacuum an E-cam has. A super mild headed combo. So, Alright, there's a win. There's a win. All I gotta do yet is hook up the lights for the boost gauge. Gotta tap into the radio wiring harness. Put that back in because that should be controlled by the dimmer still, so I'll get to that. So let me turn this off. And lights are up. Sweet. Alright fellas, so that's enough for this weekend for me anyway. The weather got garbage, couldn't get the car out even just to go around the block, just to take it for a spin to see if it fixed the rear end rattle. I don't know if it's a differential rattle yet, but so let's take it for a spin. I won't know, but if you look around, if you see the roof things coming in and out, you know, it's because of the wind here. But yeah, it just got lousy. Didn't get to do, I was gonna wanna mount the fire extinguisher bottle this weekend too. I didn't really allude to that very much, but it's something we got going on in the future. Got to figure out where to put that. I got a big old hunk of aluminum, old bracket from work, so I gotta chop that up, figure out where I want to put that. But one thing to note about the bracket for the boost gauge or the vent pod, you know, it was 3D printed, and when I was sanding it, you know, with my little DA sander, getting all the 3D printed lines out of it, it's actually harder to sand than you think. I really wasn't wearing it down very much, so I guess the plastic's good, but I was trying to round over the corners and the edges, and I went through one of the corners, because evidently because this is a little thicker, it's hollow. So I had to fix the hole. I just used a little bit of that infrared curing glue, filled up the corner, and cured it, sanded it back down, and you can never tell the difference. But it was a surprise me. I burned a hole through it, so I couldn't get the fins and the stuff as thin as I wanted to, but I still got it looking how it is. Finished it up with some SEM interior dye that I used for the rest of the interior, so that's why if you look at the video, the grills look a slight different color than surround, because I'd have to paint the dash pad and the surround and a lot of other stuff to make it all uniform and match. But it's just a real close shade of gray for the moment, and it's not going to bother me for right now, so until something else happens. But yeah, so as of now, don't know if we're going to get to John's this weekend. I think he may have to go away on business, maybe get down to Pete's. That would be interesting, and introduce his car. Been talking about that for a while now, but every time we got to meet up, we're all going to John's because his car just needs to get on the road. But I don't know if you've seen in the background, I have got my front skinnies for the track. So I'm still waiting on the rears, and I don't think they've even shipped yet. It's been well over 6 weeks. Summit Racing, they even emailed me and asked to confirm that I want to continue waiting for them, which they've never done before. So I don't know if there's like a super duper backlog on them or something like that, because it's racing season now. And they never asked me if I wanted to cancel a part before. He was just like, okay, here's the new date. Here's the new date that it's coming. But so I thought that was really weird. They had me confirm that I wanted to cancel it, or they were going to cancel, or I confirmed I wanted to keep it, or they were going to cancel it for me, which was very odd. So it must be a huge backlog on drag racing tires right now. So especially some slicks, because the season's coming up. But anyway, getting close, waiting on parts. It's typical UK Foxbody life. So I'll catch you guys in the next video, and don't know how soon it's going to be, but we'll catch you soon. Bye-bye.